And we're back. So LJ, we were talking about the necessity of, empowering folks. So how about we turn now and let's talk about another side of it that's like really important. How do we train and develop these folks?
Yeah. It's, what's really important, I think, when you talk about intrapreneurs, understanding the training and professional development that's needed for intrapreneurs versus the training and development for entrepreneurs. It's so important because when we think about training for an entrepreneur, we're thinking about personal and some professional development, but for the most part, it's about personal, hard skill expansion. We need to learn how to, if we're in the business of management consulting, now we might have our CEO also get their real estate license. So now they're a realtor, or we might have our CEO go and get a license as, a cybersecurity professional. So it serves both a personal and professional purpose, but it really doesn't necessarily have to serve the professional side of the house. It could just really be about the entrepreneur as a person. Versus when we think about your intrapreneurs, we want, in thinking about the future of work, we want to consider how we can take advantage of those added skill sets that our employees are gaining. How do we take advantage of that in the workplace? And how do we have them continue to grow with us as they are growing those skill sets and those talents and abilities? That's what it's about when we look at intrapreneurs and having them get in front of training opportunities. So like, one of the things we do at Tacit Growth Strategies is we're an authorized training partner of the Project Management Institute. So we offer certifiable, globally certifiable project management exam prep training. What happens with those intrapreneurs that come into our network to get that certification is now they are joined with other intrapreneurs, other individuals who are working in nonprofit or for-profit sectors, and they're looking basically to ask for that job promotion, or they're looking to find a way to better support their team because now they have a better understanding of what their team does. Right. Or they're looking to ask for that additional, sort of benefit to doing their job. Now they have what they need. They're equipped with this certificate to be able to do that.
Right.
For entrepreneurs, when you get that professional development certification, what that signals to contracting agencies, to government entities that you might want to be a contractor for, to private sector entities that you might want to contract with, what that certification signals to them is that you know a little bit about everything. So if I talk to you about different contract types, or if I talk to you about, shared services agreements or MOUs or those types of things, you're going to understand the difference. If I tell you I need you to submit a work breakdown structure, or if I need you to submit a Gantt chart, you're going to have the training necessary to be able to produce those types of artifacts, right? Right. That's what it's about. So we're talking about training for the global intrapreneur. Some of our organizations are going to be in the position to where they can provide that training. But most of the time, those intrapreneurs are going to have to go out to get that training on their own. So you want to give them a network of like-minded people, like the Global Intrapreneur Network that we have over at Tacit Growth Strategies. You want to give them that so that they have a space to be able to talk about some of the lessons learned that they have in their organizations, or some of the ways that they've been able to take lessons learned from other corporations or other nonprofits and bring that into their job to do it better. That's what we're talking about with the training for intrapreneurs.
Well, and I think there's a couple of other areas too with intrapreneurs, and one of the things that, as you know, we do quite a bit, which is on communications and understanding behaviors of not just yourself, but your team members, and how to really communicate effectively with them. Because in order to be a really good intrapreneur, you have to be able to communicate effectively and be able to be people smart. And a lot of times the people, there's a certain amount of inherent, what you would say, you either have it or you don't, part of the people smart equation. And it's not the same as EQ or any of that. But at the same time, there's pieces of it that if you don't quite have it, you can be trained on it. You can be mentored to develop it. You can be, so a lot of like what we do when we're helping companies build culture, for instance, is taking a look at that entrepreneur too, and not just like you were saying with like the PMP, but this other side, a little bit more of that soft skill side. How do they develop that? How do they really develop people? How do they develop their influence? How do they then in turn start developing other people and taking the network that they have and introducing the other people that maybe are internal to their company to that network also that they have. And I think something you and I mean, we're talking about, you know, specifically organizations and especially, you know, nonprofit organizations, but the for-profit side is this way because business is business. And you know, I've discussed this on the podcast before. To us, nonprofit is just kind of a tax status y'all have. You know, you're really a business, right? But, you know, it goes a little step further too, because you can literally develop, like here, where I am now, you know, we've been over last year and stuff, been building new network here that I'm now being able to share with some of my other networks. And I had a meeting with somebody yesterday here who said to me, oh my gosh, let me introduce you to here. And it's all of those things. And whether I'm an entrepreneur or I was an intrapreneur, because if you think about like when I used to hold the positions of, you know, I've been an executive director, but I also held the positions of development and marketing director, which is much more of that entrepreneur type position, but empowered to make certain things and recruit board members and different things. It kind of depends on the organization about how far that goes. But the network, even in that situation, that network would have been invaluable to me, no matter which position I was in within an organization. Just as valuable to me as it is now is the owner and founder of my own company and team and everything. You know, I think oftentimes we discount all of the different things that we need to have, but also there's this other side of training the entrepreneur though too. And I think companies often miss it. It's this, I have this great belief, and I've heard other people talk about it in the sense of Brandon and Natalie Dawson talk about it quite a bit too. The same belief that I've held for years, which is oftentimes you're training or you're helping people get access to training within your company, even if it's outside your company, but you're supporting it and everything so that they can go after their dreams or get that promotion or whatever. And even if you don't have that ability within your organization, you are literally empowering them to be able to do that. And in the process of doing that, they not only become more joyful and happy because you're supporting them, but they also help other team members, and it still helps the organization grow and have bigger impact. And I think oftentimes I know so many entrepreneurs, and I guess I'm on a mission to change this really, but which is like, you need to realize that person, whether you hired them too fast and maybe they aren't really a good cultural fit, because that happens, you know, especially if we're hiring fast, but that's okay. They're still an asset. And if you take that time to get to know them, and that's a lot of what we work with people on, is getting to know either their team or their team members, depending on what level we're working at, because we work bottom down, top, you know, bottom up, sides, all the way around. But if you take that time to really get to know that person, start developing a relationship with them, you, no matter where they are, even if they don't really want to be there, maybe they just took the job because they had been, it's not what they want to do. Maybe they had did it for a long time. They don't want to do it anymore, but they needed a job. And so they just took it. And when you can empower people and help them get the skill level, get the right training, attitude, everything, they will still leave, even if they don't stay with your organization. They will still help you impact. They will impact your bottom line, but they'll also help you impact. And I don't think in those scenarios, when you treat it that way, we see so much, in the nonprofit world is because, right, the time span for a development director is, as you and I've talked about, absolutely atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
I think, what are we down to now? Something like, especially since the pandemic, it made it actually even worse, something like 6 months.
Can't retain them at all.
Mm-hmm. And how much money it costs on turnover. Well, we get that so in our head of, oh my gosh, we can't have this and there can't be this turnover. But the truth is, it actually costs you more sometimes to not have that turnover. And if you can have somebody go out that they still like you, they're still calling you, they just weren't necessarily a good fit within, for whatever reason. You may have thought that they were a great fit. They just didn't think they were a great fit. Or it can be the vice versa. They think, whatever the reason is. But if you lovingly help them develop what they need to develop, help them obtain something that is their goal, not only will they leave, but they will actually sing the praises of your organization to other people. And you'll attract the people that you want, even with that entrepreneur. And I think the biggest thing that changed that a lot of people don't even realize quite yet, or quite haven't wrapped their head around yet, I'm not totally sure. But, really what changed last year was how business runs. Mm-hmm. Big time. Yeah. And it's not just about, whatever we're calling the great resignation or whatever it is, because in some cases you have a whole bunch of baby boomers that were set to retire anyways, and they just kind of went, I'm done. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to go open that company I always wanted to own. I'm going to take some time off, and then I'm going to go back to work doing something in someplace I wanted, whatever. And so there is a lot of that upheaval. You do definitely have families who went, you know what, we can really live on one income. We're actually happier this way, not doing the grind, right? Unfortunately, we have, and I'm going to call this out, and this probably is going to be a topic of someplace along the line here, but unfortunately, we have a lot of women, even women in high levels, who are blaming other women for not coming back in the workforce, which I think is absolutely 100% bogus. I mean, yes, there is an economic impact on the sense of like everybody's kind of gotten it in a lot of respects that, you know what, we really don't need all the junk that we were continually buying. Okay, yes, I just said it. But I think that, I really think that there's like a lot of blessing and a lot of great stuff that's coming out of this. And really this idea about just making everybody in your company an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of women just didn't go back because they're caretakers now. Yeah. I can't tell you how many people I know, how many women are taking on that role of just taking care of their families, especially people who experience COVID and are having those lasting effects, elderly, since a lot of, like you said, a lot of folks we know retired. So, there's just a lot going on. And the women, the women have really kind of taken on the responsibility of taking care of people full time. So, I mean, it's a great reset. Like you said, it's bigger than a resignation. It's a reset.
It's a complete reset. And I don't necessarily think that it's bad. And, I know we were talking about intrapreneurs, and we're going to end this real quickly, but I'm just going to say, women, do not blame other women for the choices that they've made. In some cases, there's a lot of women who have worked professionally, everything. There's nothing wrong with that. And literally have gone, you know what? I've really always wanted to be home and take care of my family. And, there is literally nothing wrong with being the economic head and manager of your household.
Amen.
And for any of your men who are listening out there, who you might have been the person that, because that really was your calling, which personally, I think there's nothing wrong with that either, because I think that, everybody's, you know what? And y'all have made that choice too. Good. But at the end of the day, even in your households, everybody can be an entrepreneur. This idea is, goes all the way down, even into our households, how you develop team members, how you develop people to give and help their fellow man. And the things that I really believe that we're all wired with. It just, some of us choose to use it and some of us don't. So, but I love that, I don't know where we're going, but I'm really loving what I'm seeing and how it's developing and how things are changing. And at some point we'll have to talk about collaborations, because it's really very interesting on like where business is going all the way around the world, even on that level. So, yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, guys, we are out on this episode, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening. We sure appreciate it. I'm Jocelyn.
I'm LJ.
Bye.
Bye.